Hey everyone, welcome to your midday love break. I'm your host, Robyn D'Angelo, and I'm going to wait for a couple people to hop on here. We start every Wednesday at top of the hour at 12 o'clock Pacific time and 3 o'clock Eastern time. So depending on where you're joining me from today, welcome. We talk so often about how people make time for the things that matter in their lives. And this is your midday love break. I encourage everyone to take some time to enjoy and focus on your relationships, to think about what is and isn't working. And specifically during these weekly, every Wednesday midday love breaks, what I do is I take questions that people email to me, some topics that I hear in my private practice as a therapist, and just my own life experiences as being a wife, being in a relationship, and talk to you guys about what works, how we can navigate through them, and how to create an epic relationship that lasts. And it's based in neuroscience, it's based in research, so you are getting the most up-to-date information to help you create your most epic relationship. Today we are talking about the topic of nagging. We're talking about how to stop nagging and get your needs met the first time you ask. Maybe not the first time, but we're going to be giving you information today about these three things. You're going to be learning a little bit about what exactly is nagging and why do we do it in the first place? There are some misconceptions about this. There's some really interesting stereotypes around nagging. We're also going to be talking about why nagging doesn't work and what it actually does in a relationship. So just to give you guys some education and so that you have a deeper understanding of the role this plays, here's a little information. Everything we do and say, there's a reason for it. Somehow it serves a purpose, or at least our brains think that it serves a purpose. So we'll be taking a look at that. And then finally, we'll be wrapping up today's midday love break with applicable, realistic tools. Tips, tools, strategies, things that you can start doing right away in your relationship today that can help you to move away from maybe a habit that you have of nagging and move into a place of getting your needs met the first time you ask. And maybe even seeing a smile on your face, on your partner's face, when they're meeting your needs. So this is an exciting topic. I'm so happy to have you guys here with me today. I want to invite all of you, leave questions and comments in the section below, and I will answer those as we go. We also have a really unique opportunity that you guys can now join me live if you are brave enough, if you are so interested in popping on and maybe asking a question live, or if any of my fellow love geek experts out there and relationship experts and love experts join us live. I'm happy to have you join and share some of your expertise and tips, because I will be the first one to say I don't have all the answers. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Robyn D'Angelo. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist here in Southern California, and I'm the founder of The Happy Couple Expert. It is my passion and my mission to help couples all over the world to create their most epic relationships that last. And one of the ways I do that is doing these live midday love breaks every week to remind people to take a break, focus on your relationship, gain some tools and tips and strategies and information, most importantly, education on how to get the relationship that you want. I also help you guys master the messiness of couplehood, because as you know, if you are in a relationship, it can be messy. So happy to have you guys here today, and I'm going to dive right in. As usual, I have my notes here to keep me on track because we have a lot of great information here, and I want to make sure I get the most important information to you guys so you can actually start making changes in your relationship today. And as I've said, feel free to add your comments and questions below, and let's dive right in. So first of all, you may be wondering, what exactly is nagging? Nagging is basically repeatedly asking for something over and over again. But here's an interesting fact. So as I was doing some more research around this, I found out that this is really just a social construct. Society has created this idea of the nagging wife. Interesting, though, that when a man or the husband has requests, even if they are multiple times being asked, they're just requests. But as the woman, we are seen as the nagging wife. We are seen as, demanding. We are seen as maybe passive aggressive. And it simply doesn't work. But before I get on to that point, I just want to talk about nagging really truly is just your attempt to get your needs met. If you think about it like this, I need help around the house. This is a very, very typical example that I hear from clients, that I hear from people writing into me, which is, I cannot get my husband to take out the trash. It's every Thursday. I don't get it. Why is it so hard to remember that? And so we move into this habit, or we create this habit, and we perpetuate this habit of nagging or asking over and over again, hey, can you take out the trash? Sure. Have you taken out the trash yet? No, not yet. I'll get to it. Hey, it's almost bedtime. Have you taken out the trash yet? No, not yet. Okay, I'm going to bed. Can you please take the trash? Right? So we go over and over and over again. At the core of this, you're just trying to get your need met of, I need help. I need help to get the things done around the house so that our family, our household operates. And I need your help to do this. And it can go even deeper. You might not even need your partner to do this. You just want them to do this because their willingness to show up for you says something, right? Says something about their commitment to the relationship. It says something about how they value you and the way you work so hard to keep the family going, right? So I want you to think about when you're nagging, there's so much connected to this. When you're asking for things over and over and over, I want you to think about the meaning that you have connected to this. Especially when you think about when your partner doesn't do what you asked them to do in a timely manner, in your timely manner, on your timeline, what starts to come up for you? Typically, we start judging, we start getting frustrated, we start putting all of these different labels on our partner. They must not care about me. They must not care about how hard I work. They just don't care. They don't want to be a part of this family, right? So we have all these meanings attached to when our partners do or don't do something for us. I want you to keep that in mind when you think about the request that you make. So, like I said, we nag for a pretty simple reason. We're just trying to get our needs met, except we do it in a way that doesn't necessarily work. So what happens typically, because the way that women talk is usually very different from the way that men talk, and the way that women interpret information is usually very different from the way that men interpret information. So typically what happens is you are nagging or making multiple requests in a way that does not encourage action. Does this make sense? You're making a request or you're asking for something in a way that your partner doesn't seem to find urgent. You're also asking in a way that does not cultivate more communication or a dialogue. It's just a request and then maybe walking away and going, oh gosh, please, 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 I hope he does this. Here's the thing. Typically, people do not take action unless there's urgency. Does this resonate with you guys? Typically, we do not take action as human beings unless there is a sense of urgency attached to the action being requested or the action that we know we have to take. Think about it. Think about it. If you're planning for a trip and you're so excited and you have a vacation coming up, typically you're not packing 3 weeks before when you're planning the vacation. Typically you're planning and packing the night before or 2 days before at the most, right? Because you have this sense of urgency. I have got to be packed and ready. We've got to get on the plane. We've got to make all these arrangements. Who's going to be with the kids? Who's taking care of the dog? You're taking action because there's a sense of urgency. This leads me to my next point, why nagging does not work. Typically, when we're nagging, which is, again, making this request over and over again, it's coming from a place of frustration already. Ladies, we are typically already frustrated. In your head, it's almost like, oh, they never do this, or oh, they're never going to do this. If you can take a breath before you ever go in to make a request. To make a request to get your need met, if you can take a breath and come from a place of kindness and respect. And there's a couple different tricks you can do that. If you can come from that place and then make a request, your partner's brain is more likely to actually hear the request rather than the attitude, the tone of voice, what your body language is saying. Because let's face it, when we're frustrated, ladies, there's no hiding it, right? And here's the thing, when you're coming at your man with frustration or a sense of he's probably not going to do this anyway, you don't trust that he can do it, you don't think he's willing to do it, you don't believe in him. His brain is wired, which all of ours are, to avoid pain. Our brains are wired to avoid pain and danger and discomfort. So if they see us coming at them with frustration, whether it's our body language, our tone of voice, our huffing and puffing, oh my gosh, seriously? These little comments, their brain literally says, abort mission, avoid, 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 get out of here, protect yourself. And the brain protects itself in many different ways. It listens selectively. I'm sure we've all experienced that at one point or another. It also will create excuses as to why we can't do certain things. So remember, if you are coming at your partner with a sense of, I'm going to be kind and I'm going to make a request, your partner's more likely to hear it, receive it, and actually take action. Here's the second thing that gets in the way of making requests and getting your needs met. This is why nagging doesn't work. Typically, the way that we show up and make a request, it's not explicit enough for a man's brain. And just hear me on this. I'm totally going to generalize right now, but the male brain is very linear, typically. Again, I'm generalizing. There's lots of men out there whose brains are not as linear, but typically the male brain is wired and set up to do this. Assess the situation and then determine what is the most efficient and effective way to go from point A to point B. I can't tell you how many times I hear men, when I'm working with couples, say, if she were to just to give me explicit instructions or tell me exactly what she wants, when she wants it by, I can do that. But it's always full of all this other fluff. Ladies, you're speaking to your man the way you would speak to a girlfriend. Does this resonate? You're talking to your man in this way of, I don't want to come off sounding like a bitch, or I don't want to be a nag, so I'm going to be really gentle and tiptoe, and maybe if you could, and if you have a minute later, I would love it if you could do this, and then maybe, right? We tend to be gentle because we don't want to be viewed as something negative. We don't want to be viewed as being aggressive, except the male brain hears concise instructions and concise requests very clearly. And at that point, they can make a decision. So here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to think about how you can make a request that is concise, that is explicit in instruction, and give a sense of urgency. The male brain loves this, you guys. Loves, loves, loves this. what has to happen is making a request like this. Say that your husband comes in, excuse me, and says, you know, I'm getting ready to go. Oh, excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. Let me get some coffee while you guys are hanging out there. So your husband comes in and says to you, hey, do you know where the tent is? We're going camping next weekend with the guys. I have no idea where it's at. And immediately your brain goes to, seriously? It's in the same place it was last time we put it away. When we went camping as a family, you were there with me. We both put it away. All these things go through your head. How do you not know where it's at? You probably haven't even really looked. So you're already coming from this place of frustration. You could start nagging. You could start saying, okay, can you please just go look again? Can you, right? So you're making these requests in this way that your partner's not hearing this. But what you could do is you could say something like, it's right above the coolers where the bikes are. If you want to wait about 30 minutes, I could come help you and grab them. Would that be helpful? Just get specific. You gave him a time, you told him where it's at, and then you made a request. So it opens up the conversation for dialogue. It gives him an opportunity to be like, oh, do I need her help? No, this was great. That was all I needed. That, I'm telling you, ladies, the male brain will so appreciate it. It's quick, it's concise, there's no emotion attached to it because there's simply been a request made. Same goes for you. If you have the request, if you can say something like, trash gets picked up tomorrow at 6:30. I want to be in bed by 10 tonight. Can you make sure to take all the trash out in the next hour before we go to bed? I'll even go around and gather all the trash in the house and we'll do it together. How's that sound? You're giving explicit instruction. You're saying that you're willing to be a part of it, which is pretty awesome. And then you're saying, how's that sound? You're engaging them in a conversation. You're making sure that they're there with you. They're looking you in the eyes, right? You're commanding their attention. And with this, they feel prepared. They've got all the information they need. And it doesn't feel like nagging. Typically, you won't have to ask more than 1 or 2 times, depending on if you've gotten their attention. And that's another piece. Nagging doesn't work because typically we're asking our men to do something when they are right smack dab in the middle of doing something else. And ladies, yes, even watching TV is doing something else. Playing on his phone, doing video games, doing some work in the office, playing with the kids. If your man's brain is focused on something else and you're trying to talk to him, I can guarantee you he's not hearing it, not because he doesn't want to, but because typically, again, the male brain is single focused. Think about it this way. What was typically the male role in primal days, right? The man went out to hunt. That was his job, to hunt and bring back food. He had one job and he did it well because his survival depended on it. Your survival as a family, as a tribe, as a community depended on it. And what was your job? Ladies, your job was to do everything else, and I mean everything. You're watching the kids, you're feeding the kids, you're keeping an eye on the fire, you're gathering berries and nuts, and not just berries, but you have to make sure they're the right shade of blueberries because the blueberries in the winter are different than the berries in the summer. I mean, our brains are designed to be constantly looking at all these things and keeping track of all these things. So when you're asking your partner, in the middle of them being focused on something to do something, more than likely it's completely missing them. Or they'll hear part of it. More than likely they don't hear a sense of urgency. So language is so important. So important. And you could hear this message today as, well, this is just ridiculous, Robyn. So men's brains do something that mine don't. This is ridiculous that I just have to accept it. You are so welcome to think that it is ridiculous and go on being frustrated. But I will tell you this. You have a wonderful choice that you can take the information knowing that your partner's male brain is wired a certain way, and you can use that to your advantage and say, you know, I'm going to probably get my needs met if I talk to my partner in this way, because I know his brain hears it in a certain way. That way my needs get met. He feels like, look at me. I was able to meet my partner's needs. I'm a good man. I'm a good husband. I can be depended on. And then you, at the end of that, also feel, he's a good husband. He can be depended on. I don't have to ask a million times. See how this works? You get to choose how you perceive the way his brain works versus the way yours works. So that's just a little bit on why nagging does not work. And now what I want to do is I want to move on to what you can do instead of nagging. How are we doing on time? Woohoo! It's only about 20 after. Hey, Ken. Oh my goodness, we have some people joining us today. I love this. Oh, Sanaz is here too. Again, if you guys have any questions or comments, I'd love for you guys to put them in the comments. Share with our community. Share with all the love geeks that are here too. And if you have any additional comments on what works and what would be helpful, put them in there. I am, for one, yes, the happy couple expert. I work with couples all over the world. However, I don't have all the answers. So those of you that are here, Ken, I know you've probably got some great answers. You're married, you're an expert, and you know a thing or two. So pop in here if you want to add your 2 cents. I'm just checking my notes here because I want to stay right on track for you guys. Here's all the good stuff. Here are the golden nuggets for you. I'm going to give you some things that you can start doing today to stop nagging, to start getting your needs met the first or maybe second time you ask, and to remove this label or this title of the nagging wife out of your relationship, out of your marriage forever. There's no room for it. It does no one any good. So first things first, you guys hear me talk about mindset all the time. I want you to just check in with yourself. If you have a request, if you have a need that you would like your partner to help meet, so you want to ask them to do something for you, check in with yourself. Are you feeling frustrated? Are you tired? Are you hungry? Are you angry at something else? And can you bring yourself to a place of kindness and gratitude before you start the conversation? This is huge, you guys. And you are the only one who can bring yourself to that space. So can you just take a deep breath? Maybe remind yourself of a couple things that your partner has done in the last couple days that make you feel really grateful to have them in your life, that you just value about them. And just bring those to top of mind. And then make your request as if you are asking someone who you really respect. Imagine that. Imagine what it would be like if you talked to your partner the way you talk to your best friend. The way, for those of you that are in the helping communities, the way that you talk to a client. Imagine coming to them with the same sense of respect, kindness, and gratitude. So number one, check your mindset. Where are you at with it? Get it in the place that you need to be to make a request. Make sure that your request, number two, is specific and it elicits a sense of urgency. And I also want you to take note of timeliness. What's going on right now with your partner? Are you texting them a request while they're at work in the middle of the day? Probably not going to remember something like that, right? Are they right in the middle of working on the garage and cleaning it up a little bit and you're talking to them about the 4 things you need them to do later inside the house? Probably not the best time. So making sure the time is right, and you can do that by saying, hey, I have a few things I would really appreciate your help with. Do you have time in about 20 minutes to go over some of those things to make sure we can get those done today? Done and done. This does 2 things. This ensures your partner's focus on you. In about 20 minutes, you'll have focus. It says to them that you respect their time and you respect what it is that they're working on. Men love to feel respected. Their brains love that. They are more willing to give and support when they feel respected and valued. And the second thing is, it gives them an opportunity to have a conversation, to say, you know what, 20 minutes actually won't work. Can we do it in about 45 minutes and then I'm all yours? How perfect. It's like, absolutely. Then it gives you an opportunity. You can go and jot a few things down so you don't forget. And that way you can get your needs met, and you can probably ask only one time. How awesome. No more nagging. I also want you to think about being gentle. There's something called a gentle startup, which is a really great way to start any conversation with anyone, really, but especially when you're about to make a request. Oftentimes, we're busy. Oftentimes, we've had a long day. Oftentimes, you're asking your partner to help you with things after they've already had a long day, after you've had a long day. And here's one of the great things you can do is you can start this conversation off with a gentle startup. And all this is just being observant of maybe what they went through that day, making an observation of how they're doing. And it sounds something like this. Hey babe, I know you had a really long day. I saw all the meetings on your calendar. I hope they went well. I have a few things I need you to help me with later. Do you think we could talk in about 20 minutes? And then we can talk about, how to get those done tonight. I would really appreciate that. So again, you're respecting their time. You're acknowledging that they had a long day. You're saying, I see you. There's nothing more fulfilling in a relationship when you get the sense that your partner not only respects you, but they really, truly see you and they understand not only your successes, but your struggles. So keep that in mind, the gentle startup, making sure it's a timely, specific, and kind interaction. And here's the last thing, you guys. Here's a really great way to keep from nagging. Are you guys talking on a regular basis? This is something that I usually recommend to all my couples, is making sure, if not every night, taking 5 minutes. Really, you guys, 5 minutes. But at least once a week to kind of do a catch-up. And there's four questions, 4 specific questions to do in this, like, touching base. Some people like to call it the state of the union stuff, the state of the relationship. 4 questions to ask your partner. You can do this once a day, or you guys can do this once a week. I like to do it once a week personally, but it gives you an opportunity to talk about the things that need to be talked about, including getting your needs met. So here are the 4 questions. If you have a pen and paper to write things down, please do that. And Ken, Sanaz, I see you're putting comments in here and I'll get to them in just a minute, but I want to give everyone these 4 questions. Write this down or put it in your phone, do something so that you have access to this. And utilize this as a way to frame your conversations once a week. Like I said, this can take 5 minutes, it can take 30 minutes, depends on how deep you want to go into this. So here's the first question. I want you to write the answers down before you even go to your partner. This is a really cool thing. So I want you to think about, and I'm reading my notes because I want to make sure I get this to you exactly. What's one thing that my partner did this week that I really appreciated or made life easier for me? Here you are praising your partner. Here you are saying, you know what? Oh my gosh, earlier this week when you made coffee and I was like, I don't know how I slept past my alarm, but to wake up and have fresh coffee there and you had already gone to work, that made my day. That made my day, right? So not only are you saying what's one thing my partner did this week that I totally appreciated or made life easier, I want you to say why. Why is this so important to you? This gives you an opportunity to go a little bit deeper with your partner. It helps give them an understanding why this made such an impact, which, by the way, helps them to want to do it again. It will probably give them a sense of purpose and joy and value and just appreciation for being in your life. Second question is, what's one thing that I did this week that I think my partner appreciated or helped make his or her life better or easier? What's one thing I did? I'm pretty stoked about this. I'm pretty proud of myself that I did this. I went out of my way. Again, and why did I do this? This gives you an opportunity to share with your partner, maybe they didn't notice. Maybe they didn't say something, but they did notice. And it gives them that opportunity to say, oh yeah, oh my gosh, I so appreciated that. I can't believe I didn't say something. Third question, what's one thing my partner could have done this week that would have been really helpful? One thing. You guys, this is not your opportunity to bash your partner or to blame your partner or to have a fight. This is your opportunity to say, gosh, what is one place that I could have used a little bit of help? Or we as a family could have used a little bit of help. And just bringing that as a talking point. No judgment, no shame, no guilt put on your partner. And then you talk about why. Again, add why to all of these answers. Take the conversation deeper, you guys. Connect with your partner. This is what changes relationships. And the last question, number 4, what's one thing I could have done to make my partner's life just a little bit easier or a little bit more joyful, and why? I usually recommend that each of you do these separately, answer these 4 questions, and then come together. Like I said, you can spend 5 minutes on this or you can spend 35 minutes on this. This is an opportunity to not only take a look at what's working, but to take a look at what could be even better. And if you know that at the end of your week, you're going to have this conversation, guess what? Throughout the week, you guys are both constantly searching and scanning each other for what you appreciate. Searching and scanning each other for what you can do to help. Because you know at the end of the week, you're going to be talking about this. This, you guys, this is the stuff that helps eliminate nagging. Because you have an opportunity to say, this would have really helped me and here's why. And when you're making a habit of checking in with your partner and of connecting with them on this way, they start to feel appreciated. They want to do the things for you that you ask them to do. You are usually going to start coming from a place of kindness and appreciation and gratitude. So your request does not sound like nagging. So, there you have it. Let's see. I want to go back to what Ken said. I don't know if you're still here, Ken, but it says, I'd say what works for me in my relationship with my wife is to remember what is important. Is it important that she can't throw away the trash that's right next to the trash can? Is it important that she leaves her shoes all over the floor? In the bigger picture, that's not the battle I want to fight for. Oh, and of course I can't see the whole comment. Darn it. I want to fight for having time probably together is what it says. So this idea of keeping in mind what's the priority, what's important. Can your partner probably throw away the trash themselves? Yeah, probably. But every time they make a request and you show up without, fine, without complaining, every time they make a request, and you do it the first time or maybe the second time, your partner starts to build trust on a primal level of, can I count on my partner? Can I trust that they will be there for me? And this is something that we all are asking subconsciously all day long, every day. Am I safe? Can I trust that my partner will show up for me? Can I trust that my partner has my back? Can I trust that no matter how ridiculous a request, they love me and they will probably show up for me in a way that is supportive? Doesn't mean that they will automatically do it right away, but they'll engage in a conversation with me in a loving way. They might say, babe, I don't have time right now. If you take that out, I'll make sure to take the trash cans up when I get home from work. Awesome. But you're having that dialogue in a really loving and respectful manner. Sana, as you said, love this stuff. Your clients are so lucky to have you. I have to get going. Okay, I'm so glad. Refer your couples to me if you like, Sonas. What an honor. I really appreciate that. Okay, Ken, you are here. So I love that you shared paying attention to what's really important at the end of the day, right? But what does this require? This requires you to slow way down and kind of push through your initial frustration. your initial, ugh. And that takes practice. That takes coming from a place of kindness and appreciation. It takes slowing down long enough to go, oh my gosh, they do so much too. Am I willing to show up? So you guys, I went over a little bit today, but I hope this has been helpful for you. I know that nagging is something that can just spread like wildfire, and I don't want that for you guys, because let's face it, nobody likes to have a partner that nags. Nobody wants to be the person nagging. And there's so many different ways that you guys can get through this. I just gave you a couple great ways that you can start changing this pattern in your relationship today. And if you guys found this helpful, drop me a comment, give me some likes. And of course, if you have any questions that you want me to address live on our midday love breaks every Wednesday at 12, please private message me. You can even post on my Facebook fan page, or you can email me directly at Robyn, ROBYN, at thehappycouple.com, happycoupleexpert.com. Woo, almost lost you there. Almost didn't get that email. And just send me your questions, and you can just put in the subject, midday love break question. And I'd be happy to address that live. I'm so grateful to have you guys here with me every week. It says a lot about how important your relationship is. And I really encourage you guys to continue to make time to focus on your relationship. Have a midday love break every Wednesday with me and your fellow love geeks. And let's get you creating your most epic relationship that lasts. And if you want some more specialized, individualized support, and you're here in the state of California, I would love to support you. Reach out and let's talk about how we can get you and your partner mastering the messiness of couplehood together. All right, you guys, big love. Mwah. Go out and have such a beautiful day. And yeah, I can't wait to see you next week at our midday love break. Talk to you all then. Bye.